Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to my channel, The Focused Millennial. This is your one-stop shop for high-quality leadership and entrepreneurship content. Today, we're speaking about change leadership. I'm going to walk you through how you can lead your people and your organization through change that is affecting it. Simon Sinek puts it best in his book, Leaders Eat Last, when he says, "An imbalance, as history has proven over and over again, will self-correct suddenly and aggressively unless we are smart enough to correct it slowly and methodically." So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be sharing some of the methods on how you can manage and lead your team through this change or this imbalance so that your team and your organization is better off for it. But hey, before we jump into the content, I want to invite you to just hit that like button. And if you're not already a subscriber to the channel, then subscribe and share this with a friend. But that's it. Let's get into it. So I want to start off by defining what I mean when I speak about change leadership. You're probably more familiar with the term change management. Well, change leadership is really a spin-off from that more popular term. However, I've adapted it slightly based off the wise words that I heard from a gentleman named Bob Chapman. So Bob Chapman says, "No one wakes up in the morning and goes to work with the hopes that someone will manage us. But we do wake up in the morning with the hopes that someone will lead us." And I can't think of a more important time for a leader to step up and demonstrate leadership within their organization than when it is undergoing a drastic change. So now that we've established an understanding about what we mean when I speak about change leadership, the next question that we have to answer is, why is change such a scary thing for us? Right? Now, the reason why change is so scary is because change really takes us outside of our comfort zone. It requires us to do things differently to achieve, the same results or similar results, and that's not guaranteed. And in some instances, it even requires that we do completely new things that we might not, have been prepared to do or trained to do, and that can be quite scary. Change is this way of causing us to confront our fear of the unknown, because in essence, there's an unknown future state, and as humans, we can't help but question our security and our relevance in this unknown future state. And that can be quite scary. And in some instances, we've got good reason to be concerned about change if it's not managed well, or if we're not led through the change effectively. So let's go into some of the things that can happen, or the impact that change can have on us if we are not able to handle it properly. So if change is not led properly or managed properly, it can leave your team feeling extremely discouraged, fatigued, insecure, and it can introduce a really unhealthy culture within your organization where people try and save themselves as opposed to putting the organization first, as opposed to putting the customers first. You have this self-preservation culture that starts to develop, and with that comes, politicking, and there's divisions that get fostered within your organizations because people are more concerned about hoarding resources for themselves to secure their future in this unknown future state, and that can consume a lot of unnecessary resources for the organization, and in extreme cases it can even render your entire team or organization obsolete in the future because other people are adapting a lot better to the change than yourself. So if not managed properly, change can really have a drastic negative impact on us as leaders and on our teams. So I now want to share with you some proven effective methods for how you can lead change within your team or within your organization. All right. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you are listening and that you are being curious, right? So this is what I call the gather phase. When change is imminent, it's super important for you to ask the right questions. Now, this process requires you to be wide, right? We're not going deep just yet. We just want to include as many people as possible asking questions. Now, right now, this is super important because asking the right questions can lead to an insight, right? And the right insight can develop into a pattern of thinking that can unlock a tremendous amount of value and just creative solutions that can change the game for the organization. So it's important to be very curious and ask a lot of questions. Remember to include everyone, very important. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you want to do is that you want to do some scenario planning. Now, once again, you can include everyone for this and challenge everyone to create some scenarios. Ask, what does a desired future state look like? And what does an undesired future state look like? And perhaps there's a couple of states in between those two. Now you will need to ask yourself, what do you guys want to look like at the end of whatever, change that is impacting you? And then you need to take it a step further by asking, what is it that we can do in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term that will most likely get us there? These are going to become the key activities that will determine the path that you take towards a future state, hopefully the desired future state. That's the second thing that you need to do. The third thing that you need to do is ensure that you're taking these activities and you are prioritizing. So you need to break them down into manageable chunks and, as a collective, decide on which are the most important things. If we did these things, that would give us the highest likelihood of reaching that future state. So prioritizing is super important during times where there's a drastic change, because it brings focus, and that focus is so needed to ensure that you're able to do the things that will take you to that desired future state. Now, this next step is very important, right? Although you are now doing new activities and it's all really exciting, it's super important that you as the leader remind everyone that although we're doing new activities, we are sticking to the same values. Now, you don't want a scenario where the values are changing overnight, because remember, values are those things within our organization that have taken a really long time for us to build. They've become our identity. So you don't want your identity to change just because the times are changing, or just because some sort of change is pressurizing you to do that. You want to stay true to your identity, which is your values, and let them be the North Star that guides you through this wind of change. So although you're doing new activities, you're holding on to the same values. Now, the next thing that's super important for you to do is to continuously communicate with your team. As a leader, you are going to be responsible for creating platforms of engagement. Now, humans during times of crisis, we just want to speak to people often. We want to talk about the problem until, we feel like it's been resolved in us internally. So as a leader, I advise you to communicate, right? So you need to step up to the plate and become a coach. You're going to be responsible for inspiring the team, for, encouraging them, for challenging them. And if you can do this really effectively, people will really, get the sense of direction and feel as though communication can flow. And that is exactly what you want during times of change. So you have to communicate with your team and update them on the progress. So transparency is very, very important as you communicate. Now, the last thing that's very, very important for you to do as a leader is to celebrate the small wins. We know that there's a big goal in mind. We're trying to get to this future state, but in order for us to get there, there's a series of smaller wins, smaller battles that we need to conquer. And as we do that, it's great for us as leaders to just celebrate that. And that has this powerful effect of just energizing our people and getting them even more excited about where we're going as a team and where we're going as an organization. So those are the most effective methods for you to be able to lead your organization through change. So if you're wondering if you've done a good job or not in leading your organization through the change, a great way to test is by, first of all, observing your people. If they appear more invigorated, energized, as though they almost, feel eager for more. And second of all, if the relationships within the organization are strengthened and people feel more open to share, more open to collaborate, and so forth, well then I can tell you right now, you've done a very good job. And it's not a simple thing to do as a leader, so you should definitely give yourself a pat on the back. Alright, so that's all I have for you in this one. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope that you learned something new. If you like this video, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my channel. And if there's someone that you know who you feel can benefit off this content, then please invite them to come to the channel as well. But that's it. Until the next one, stay focused.